If you want to experience the supernatural in your own life by healing your body, creating new opportunities you could never have imagined before, and having transcendent mystical experiences, you first need to master the concept of the present moment, the eternal now. There's a lot of talk about being present or being in the now these days. While most people understand the basics of what that means, not to think about the future or live in the past, I want to offer you a completely different understanding of the concept. It's going to require that you get beyond the physical world, including your body, your identity, your environment, and even beyond time itself. This is where you turn possibility into reality. After all, if you don't get beyond who you think you are and the way you've been conditioned to believe the world works, it's not possible to create a new life or a new destiny. So, in a very real sense, you have to get out of your own way, transcend the memory of yourself as an identity, and allow something greater than you, something mystical, to take over. Welcome everyone to the circle. First, let's take a look at how the brain functions. When any neurological tissue in the brain or the body is activated, it creates mind. Consequently, from a neuroscientific understanding, mind is the brain in action. For instance, you have a specific mind to drive your car. You have another mind to take a shower. You have a different mind when you sing a song or listen to music. You use a specific level of mind to execute each of those complex functions because you've probably done each of these tasks thousands of times. So your brain turns on in a very specific way whenever you do any of them. When your brain is in action, as you drive your car, for example, you are in fact turning on a specific sequence, pattern, and combination of neurological networks. Those neural networks, or neural nets, are simply clusters of neurons that work together as a community, just like an automatic software program or a macro. Because you've done that particular action so many times, the neurons that fire together to accomplish the task become more wired together. As you consciously choose to perform the task of driving your vehicle, we could say that you are automatically selecting and instructing those neurons in your brain to turn on to create a level of mind. For the most part, your brain is a product of the past. It has been shaped and molded to become a living record of everything you have learned and experienced up to this point in your life. Learning, from a neuroscientific standpoint, is when neurons in your brain assemble to form thousands of synaptic connections. Those connections then assemble into complex, three-dimensional neurological networks. Think of learning as your brain getting an upgrade. When you pay attention to knowledge or information and it makes sense to you, this interaction with the environment leaves biological impressions in your brain. When you experience something new, your senses write the story neurologically in your brain. And even more neurons come together to make even more enriched connections, upgrading your brain even further. Experiences not only enhance the brain circuitry, but they also create emotions. Think of emotions as the chemical residue from past experiences or chemical feedback. The stronger the emotional quotient from an event in your life, the more the experience leaves a lasting impression in your brain. That's how long-term memories are formed. So if learning means making new connections in your brain, memories are when you maintain those connections. The more you repeat a thought, choice, behavior, experience, or emotion, the more those neurons fire and wire together, and the more they will sustain a long-term relationship. Most of your experiences come from your interaction with your external environment. Since your senses plug you into the external environment and neurologically record the narrative in your brain. When you experience a highly charged emotional event, bad or good, that moment becomes embossed neurologically in your brain as a memory. Therefore, when an experience changes how you normally feel chemically and heightens your attention to what caused it, you will associate a specific person or thing with where your body is at a particular time and place. That's how you create memories, by interacting with the outer world. It's safe to say that the only place the past actually exists is in your brain and in your body. I'd like to share with you a personal story that perfectly illustrates the concepts of stepping into the present moment and transcending our conditioned past to create a new future. This journey has not only helped me heal my body, but also led to new opportunities and mystical experiences that I could never have imagined. Several years ago, I found myself stuck in a rut. My life was a monotonous routine that I followed day in and day out. I would wake up at the same time every morning, go through the same motions of checking my phone, brushing my teeth, and commuting to work. My job was unfulfilling, my relationships were stagnant, and I felt a profound sense of dissatisfaction. This was my life on autopilot, and I was essentially living in the past. One day, I came across the concept of being present in the moment, not just in a superficial way, but in a deeper, transformative sense. I learned that to truly experience the supernatural, to heal, to create, and to transcend, I needed to go beyond my physical world, my identity, my environment, and even beyond time itself. I needed to get out of my own way and allow something greater to take over. Understanding how the brain functions was crucial. When we perform any activity, our brain activates specific neural networks that form our mind in action. For instance, driving a car, taking a shower, or singing a song all engage different minds within us. These neural networks become hardwired through repetition, creating a predictable program of thought and behavior. I realized that my brain had become a product of my past experiences, a living record of everything I had learned and experienced up to that point. My thoughts and emotions were merely chemical residues from past events, deeply embedded in my brain and body. Every morning, as I thought about my problems and felt familiar emotions like frustration and sadness, I was essentially living in the past. To break this cycle, I had to step into the unknown. This meant becoming acutely aware of the present moment and experiencing each moment with full awareness, free from the influence of past or future. Initially, this was uncomfortable. It felt unnatural and challenging because my body was so used to the familiar routine. However, this discomfort was a sign of change, a signal that I was breaking free from the habitual state of being. I began practicing meditation and mindfulness, which allowed me to quiet my mind and disconnect from the external environment. In meditation, I focused on creating a clear intention of the life I wanted, coupled with elevated emotions like love, joy, and gratitude. By doing this, I signaled to my brain and body that this new future was happening now. Remarkably, my brain began to rewire itself to reflect this new reality. As I consistently practiced being present and creating from this space, my life began to change in profound ways. I started noticing new opportunities and synchronicities that aligned with my desires. For instance, a job opportunity that perfectly matched my skills and passions suddenly appeared. My relationships improved as I became more present and engaged with the people around me. I also experienced moments of transcendent clarity and peace, where I felt deeply connected to something greater than myself. One particularly striking experience was when I managed to heal a lingering health issue. I had been struggling with chronic pain for years, and no treatment seemed to work. Through meditation and focusing on my body with a mindset of healing, I began to feel changes. The pain gradually lessened and eventually disappeared, something that conventional medicine had failed to achieve. This journey taught me that the unknown, while unfamiliar and uncertain, is also a space where all possibilities exist. By embracing the present moment and stepping into this space, I was able to reinvent myself and live a life aligned with my true potential. How your past becomes your future. Let's take a closer look at what happens biochemically inside your body when you think a thought or feel an emotion. When you think a thought or have a memory, a biochemical reaction begins in your brain, causing the brain to release certain chemical signals. That's how immaterial thoughts literally become matter. They become chemical messengers. These chemical signals make your body feel exactly the way you were just thinking. Once you notice you are feeling a particular way, then you generate more thoughts equal to how you're feeling. And then you release more chemicals from your brain to make you feel the way you've been thinking. For example, if you have a fearful thought, you start to feel fear. The moment you feel fear, that emotion influences you to think more fearful thoughts. And those thoughts trigger the release of even more chemicals in the brain and body that make you continue to feel more fear. The next thing you know, you get caught in a loop where your thinking creates feeling and your feeling creates thinking. If thoughts are the vocabulary of the brain and feelings are the vocabulary of the body, and the cycle of how you think and feel becomes your state of being, then your entire state of being is in the past. When you fire and wire the same circuits in your brain over and over again because you keep thinking the same thoughts, you are hardwiring your brain into the same patterns. As a result, your brain becomes an artifact of your past thinking. And in time, it becomes easier to automatically think in the same ways. At the same time, as you repeatedly feel the same emotions over and over again, since, as I just said, emotions are the vocabulary of the body, and the chemical residue of past experiences, you are conditioning your body into the past. So now let's look at what that means for you on a day-to-day basis. Given what you just learned about feelings and emotions being the chemical end products of past events, the moment you wake up in the morning and search for the familiar feeling called you are starting your day in the past. So when you start to think about your problems, those problems which are connected to the memories of past experiences of different people or things at certain times and places, create familiar feelings such as unhappiness, futility, sadness, pain, grief, anxiety, worry, frustration, unworthiness, or guilt. If those emotions are driving your thoughts and you cannot think greater than how you feel, then you are also thinking in the past. And if those familiar emotions influence the choices you are going to make that day, the behaviors you're going to exhibit, or the experiences you are going to create for yourself, then you're going to appear predictable and your life is going to stay the same. Now, let's say after you wake up, you turn off your alarm, and as you lie there in bed, you check your Facebook, your Instagram, your WhatsApp, your Twitter, your texts, your emails, and then the news. Now, you are really remembering who you are as you reaffirm your personality and connect to your past, present, personal reality. Then you go to the bathroom, use the toilet, brush your teeth, take a shower, get dressed, and then head for the kitchen. You drink some coffee and eat breakfast. Maybe you watch the news or check your email again. It's the same routine you follow every day. Then you drive to work using the same old route. And when you get there, you interact with the same coworkers you saw the day before. You spend your day performing pretty much the same duties you performed yesterday. You might even react to the same challenges at work with the same emotions. Then, after work, you drive home. Maybe you stop at the same grocery store and buy the food you like and always eat. You cook the same food for dinner and watch the same television show at the same time while sitting in the same place in your living room. Then you get ready for bed in the same way you always do. You brush your teeth with your right hand, starting from the upper right side of your mouth. You crawl into the same side of the bed. Maybe you read a little and then you go to sleep. If you keep doing these same routines over and over again, they will become a habit. A habit is a redundant set of automatic, unconscious thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that you acquire through frequent repetition. Basically, it means your body is now on autopilot, running a series of programs, and over time, your body becomes the mind. You've done this routine so many times that your body automatically knows how to do certain things better than your brain or conscious mind. You just switch on the autopilot and go unconscious, which means you'll wake up the next morning and essentially do the same things all over again. In a very real sense, your body is dragging you into the same predictable future based on what you have been repeatedly doing in the same familiar past. You will think the same thoughts and then make the same choices that lead to the same behaviors that create the same experiences that produce the same emotions. Over time, you've created a set of hardwired neurological networks in the brain, and you have emotionally conditioned your body to live in the past, and that past becomes your future. If you were looking at a timeline of your day, starting with waking up in the morning and continuing until you go to bed that night, you could pick up that timeline of yesterday or today, your past, and place it in the space reserved for tomorrow, the future. Because essentially, the same actions you took today are the ones you are going to take tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. Let's face it, if you keep the same routine as yesterday, it makes sense that your tomorrow is going to be a lot like your yesterday. Your future is just a rerun of your past. That's because your yesterday is creating your tomorrow. We could say that your mind and body are in the known, the same predictable future based on what you did in the same familiar past. And in that known certain future, there's no room for the unknown. In fact, if something new happened, if something unknown were to unfold in your life at that moment to change the same predictable timeline of your day, you'd probably be annoyed at the disruption of your routine. You'd likely consider it troublesome, problematic, and downright inconvenient. You might say, "Can you come back tomorrow? This is not the right time." A habit is a redundant set of automatic, unconscious thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that develop through repetition. It's when you've done something so many times that your body is programmed to become the mind. Over time, your body is dragging you to a predictable future based on what you've been doing in the past. Therefore, if you're not in the present moment, you're probably in a program. The fact is, there's no room for the unknown in a predictable life. But being predictable is not how the unknown works. The unknown is unfamiliar and uncertain, but it's also exciting because it occurs in ways you cannot expect or anticipate. So let me ask you, how much room in your routine, predictable life do you have for the unknown? By staying in the known, following the same sequence each day, of thinking the same thoughts, making the same choices, demonstrating the same programmed habits, recreating the same experiences that stamp the same networks of neurons into the same patterns to reaffirm the same familiar feeling called you. You are repeating the same level of mind over and over again. In time, your brain becomes automatically programmed to do any one of those particular sequences more easily and effortlessly the next time. As a result, by thinking, acting, and feeling the same way every day, your body becomes conditioned to live in the same predictable patterns, and this cycle becomes your state of being. Now, let's say you've had the same experiences for the last 10 years. Do you agree that as you've experienced these same events over and over again, your brain has fired in the same ways, causing you to think the same thoughts and feel the same emotions? If you agreed, then this repetitive process has conditioned your mind and body to function as a predictable program. That means you've essentially been living in the past, since the same thoughts, emotions, and reactions are connected to your past experiences. When you begin to understand that your familiar past will eventually become your predictable future, you might ask yourself, if I keep living in the same patterns, how can I ever expect my life to change? This realization is the first step in the process of transformation, as you begin to become conscious of your unconscious behaviors. To truly change, you need to get out of this habitual state of being. To break the cycle of the past, creating the same predictable future, you need to step into the unknown. The unknown is where all possibilities exist. It's a place where you can reinvent yourself and create a new life. But to do this, you must break free from the familiar routine and step into unfamiliar territory. This begins by becoming aware of the present moment. Being present means experiencing each moment with full awareness, without letting the past or future influence your thoughts or actions. This requires you to become conscious of your unconscious thoughts and behaviors, and it often feels uncomfortable because it's new and unpredictable. However, this discomfort is a sign that you are changing. In the present moment, you have the power to choose new thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. By doing this, you begin to rewire your brain and recondition your body to a new mind. As you break the cycle of the past, you start to create new neural pathways and emotions that align with your desired future rather than your past experiences. To cultivate the present moment and step into the unknown, you can practice meditation and mindfulness. Meditation allows you to quiet the mind and body, disconnecting from the external environment and the habitual thoughts and feelings associated with it. As you meditate, you begin to observe your thoughts and feelings without attachment, creating a space where you can choose new thoughts and feelings that are aligned with your desired future. In meditation, you can also focus on creating a clear intention of the life you want to create, coupled with an elevated emotion such as love, joy, or gratitude. When you do this, you are signaling to your brain and body that this new future is happening now. Your brain doesn't know the difference between an actual experience and a vividly imagined one, so it begins to rewire itself to reflect this new reality. As you consistently practice being present and creating from this space, you will start to notice changes in your life. New opportunities, synchronicities, and experiences will begin to unfold, reflecting the new mind you've created. This is where the magic happens, and you begin to live in a state of flow and alignment with your true potential. In summary, to create a new life and experience the supernatural, you must break free from the familiar past and step into the unknown. By living in the present moment and consciously choosing new thoughts, behaviors, and emotions, you can rewire your brain and recondition your body to a new mind. This process requires practice, commitment, and a willingness to embrace the discomfort of change. But as you do, you will open yourself up to infinite possibilities and create a life beyond your wildest dreams.